There's a country in Europe you can't join, a place where citizenship isn't a right. It's a privilege reserved for the chosen few. And no matter how qualified you are, how much you've contributed, or how long you've waited, you'll probably never be welcome. This is Liechtenstein. Pull out a map of Europe. Find Switzerland. Look at its eastern border with Austria. See that tiny speck? That's it. 62 square miles. Smaller than Washington, D.C. You could drive across it in 20 minutes. Only 39,000 people live here. That's less than a small suburb. Yet this microscopic nation has a GDP per capita of $187,000 USD. That's right, $187,000 per person. As of 2022, that's more than double the United States, triple Germany, 4 times the United Kingdom. This isn't just wealthy. This is obscenely, impossibly rich. But here's the catch. You've probably never met anyone who lives there. That's not an accident. This country has perfected the art of keeping people out. Want to move here? The answer is almost certainly no. Want citizenship? Try waiting 30 years. Have 30 years? You'll still need your neighbors to vote yes on whether you belong. And even then, you might be rejected. Unless, of course, you're a millionaire. Or better yet, a billionaire. Because in Liechtenstein, money doesn't just talk. It opens doors that remain locked for everyone else. This is the story of Europe's most exclusive club. A medieval principality, where only the ultra-wealthy can afford to play. Where 21,000 people commute in each day, because actually living here is impossible for ordinary people. Welcome to Liechtenstein, where the doors are closed. And they're staying that way. Let's start with a simple question. How does a country like this even exist? The answer: it was purchased, literally bought and paid for. This takes us back over 300 years, to a world of European nobility, strategic power plays, and aristocratic ego. The House of Liechtenstein was already wealthy, enormously wealthy. They owned castles across the Holy Roman Empire, vast estates in what's now Austria and the Czech Republic, land, titles, influence. But they had one problem. They weren't sovereign. They couldn't vote in the imperial diet, the parliament of the Holy Roman Empire. Why? They didn't own land directly under the emperor's authority. For Prince Johann Adam Andreas of Liechtenstein, this was unacceptable. You don't become one of Europe's richest families to be excluded from the political table. So the prince went shopping. Not for jewels, not for art, for sovereignty itself. In 1699, he purchased the lordship of Schellenberg, small, remote, mountainous, not particularly valuable. Then in 1712, he bought the county of Vaduz, another tiny, poor territory. But these territories had one crucial quality. They were immediate fiefs of the Holy Roman Empire. They answered directly to the emperor. That's all the prince needed. On January 23, 1719, Emperor Charles VI made it official. He combined these territories into one principality, named it Liechtenstein after the family. Just like that. A country was born through a real estate transaction. Here's the best part. The Liechtenstein princes didn't even visit for decades. They were too busy in Vienna, living in palaces, enjoying Austrian high society. The first ruling prince to actually set foot in his own country? That was in 1842, more than a century after it became a nation. When Napoleon dissolved the Holy Roman Empire in 1806, Liechtenstein became fully sovereign. It survived Napoleon, 2 world wars, the collapse of monarchies across Europe. Through shrewd diplomacy, neutrality, and sheer luck, this accidental country endured. Today, the House of Liechtenstein still rules. Prince Hans Adam II has reigned since 1989. Day-to-day duties now belong to his son, hereditary Prince Alois. The family is worth over $5 billion. That makes them wealthier than the British royal family. And the people? They seem happy with their monarchy. In 2003, they voted in a referendum to give their prince more power. Not less. More. It's medieval tradition meeting modern governance. And somehow it works. So how did this tiny Alpine territory become one of Earth's richest places? The answer is sophisticated, complex, and designed to attract one thing above all else: money. Let's talk about what everyone whispers: banking and finance. Liechtenstein is a tax haven. Officials prefer terms like wealth management center or financial services hub. But let's be honest, this is where the rich park their money. Strict bank secrecy laws, favorable tax rates, a regulatory environment that protects wealth. Now the country has cleaned up its act somewhat. International pressure from the OECD forced changes. They now exchange tax information with other countries. The days of completely anonymous accounts are mostly over. Mostly. But Liechtenstein remains attractive for legitimate wealth management. Dozens of banks, trust companies, asset management firms, all specializing in ultra-high net worth clients. These aren't simple savings accounts. We're talking sophisticated financial planning, estate management, multi-generational wealth preservation. But here's what surprises people. Finance isn't even the biggest sector. That honor belongs to manufacturing. Yes, manufacturing. This tiny Alpine nation is an industrial powerhouse. World-leading companies in highly specialized fields. Take Ivoclar Vivadent, one of the world's top manufacturers of dental prosthetics and materials. Artificial teeth, crowns, veneers. If you've got them, they might have been made with Liechtenstein technology. The company operates in over 120 countries. Then there's Hilti, premium power tools, construction equipment, a global giant with 30,000 employees worldwide. Annual revenues exceeding $6 billion. Construction professionals everywhere use Hilti products. Headquarters? Still in Liechtenstein. There's also Hoval, heating and ventilation systems. ThyssenKrupp Presta, steering systems for luxury automobiles. Precision manufacturing for optical instruments. Industrial machinery. What connects these companies? Specialization and quality. Liechtenstein doesn't compete on price. It competes on excellence. The business environment helps. Corporate tax rates around 12.5%. Minimal bureaucracy. A highly educated workforce. Political stability that's rare even by European standards. This economic model has created remarkable prosperity. Unemployment typically hovers around 2 to 3%, essentially full employment. Average salaries among the highest in the world. The government runs consistent budget surpluses. Liechtenstein has virtually no public debt. But prosperity creates a problem. With only 39,000 residents, there aren't enough workers. Enter the commuters. Every single workday, approximately 21,000 people cross the border. From Switzerland, from Austria. That's more than half the entire resident population. These cross-border workers fill every sector: banking, manufacturing, construction, retail, drive-through during rush hour. The roads fill with Swiss and Austrian license plates. Workers stream in. Then at day's end, they stream back out. Why don't they just live in Liechtenstein? Simple. They can't afford it. Or more accurately, they're not welcome. Because in Liechtenstein, residency isn't about qualifications, it's about wealth, it's about exclusivity, it's about keeping the doors firmly shut. Now we come to the heart of it. The question everyone asks. Can I move to Liechtenstein? No. Probably not. Almost certainly not. Liechtenstein has some of the strictest immigration policies in the world. This isn't a country looking to grow. It's a country protecting its exclusivity with fierce determination. Let's start with residency. If you're not from the European Economic Area or Switzerland, forget it. Getting permission to live here is extraordinarily difficult. The country operates on a quota system. 89 permits for EEA nationals annually, 33 for non-EEA nationals. That's it, for the entire world. To even be considered, you need employer sponsorship, an employer who can prove they couldn't fill the position with a local worker, or a cross-border commuter. Or you need money, serious money, major business investments, operations that employ local workers. We're not talking about buying property, we're talking millions. But residency is just the first hurdle. Want citizenship? Want to actually belong? Be prepared for one of the most brutal processes on earth. First requirement, live in Liechtenstein for 30 years, 3 full decades, and that's just to be eligible to apply. There's a faster track, 10 years if you were born in Liechtenstein to foreign parents, but even that's nearly impossible for most people. After meeting the residency requirement, your application doesn't go to a government office, it goes to a vote. That's right, your neighbors vote on whether you're worthy. Imagine that. You've lived somewhere for 30 years, paid taxes, contributed to society, followed every rule, and your citizenship depends on whether your neighbors like you enough. This system has created massive controversy. Critics argue it's led to discrimination, rejected applicants based on ethnicity, religion, nationality. Pass the local vote? Congratulations. Now your application goes to Parliament for approval. You'll need to demonstrate integration, knowledge of German and local customs, financial self-sufficiency, a spotless criminal record. You'll also need to renounce your previous citizenship. Liechtenstein generally doesn't allow dual nationality. Oh, and there's a fee. 20 to 30,000 Swiss francs. That's roughly $23,000 to $35,000 USD. Just in administrative fees. Even after all this, you can still be rejected. No strong legal recourse. No appeals process that matters. Why such strict policies? Official reasoning talks about preserving culture, preventing overpopulation, maintaining quality of life. The real reason? Protecting wealth and privilege for those already inside. This is a club, an exclusive club, and they're not accepting new members. The result is a remarkably homogeneous society. Only 34% of residents are foreign nationals, most of those from Austria, Switzerland, and Germany. This isn't a multicultural melting pot. It's a carefully curated community. Property prices reflect this exclusivity. They're astronomical. Among the highest in Europe. A modest apartment, over 1 million Swiss francs. A house with land, multiple millions. Even if you have the money, finding property is difficult. The market is incredibly tight. There is one exception. If you're extremely wealthy, ultra-wealthy, doors might open. Liechtenstein has been known to grant residency to billionaires, to people making substantial investments. It's not officially a golden visa program, but money speaks. So when we say Liechtenstein's doors are closed, we mean they're closed to ordinary people. Middle-class professionals, skilled workers, families looking for opportunity. But billionaires? People who can invest tens of millions? Those doors might crack open. This is a country for the ultra-wealthy. Everyone else can commute in for work, then leave at night. Let's say, hypothetically, you've secured residency. What's life actually like? Expensive. Brutally, impossibly expensive. Liechtenstein consistently ranks among the most expensive places on Earth, often competing with Switzerland for the top spot. A liter of milk costs around 2 Swiss francs, about $2.30 USD. A simple lunch at a restaurant, 25 to 30 francs. A modest dinner for two at a mid-range restaurant, 100 to 120 francs. That's roughly $115 to $140 USD. Housing costs are astronomical. Renting a 2-bedroom apartment averages 2,500 to 3,500 francs per month. That's about $2,900 to $4,000 USD. Remember, Vaduz, the capital, has only 5,500 residents. This isn't a city, it's barely a town. Everything is expensive because Liechtenstein is tied to Switzerland. The country doesn't even have its own currency. It uses the Swiss franc. Swiss wage levels, Swiss prices, Swiss standards. But here's the thing. If you're a resident with a local salary, you can afford it. That average income of $187,000 per capita? Salaries in Liechtenstein are genuinely high, even for entry-level positions. The quality of life, in many ways, is exceptional. Crime is virtually non-existent, one of the lowest crime rates in the world. The National Police Force? Only 125 officers. They spend more time directing traffic than dealing with serious crime. Violent crime is extremely rare. Usually 1 murder per year, sometimes 0. You might lock your car out of habit. Many locals don't bother. Bike theft is about as serious as it gets. Healthcare is top-notch, following Swiss standards, often using Swiss medical facilities. Education is excellent. Schools emphasize academic excellence and practical skills. Literacy rate is effectively 100%. Many Liechtensteiners speak German, English, French, or Italian. The natural environment is stunning. The Rhine Valley with the Alps rising dramatically to the east. More than half the country is mountainous, peaks reaching over 2,500 meters. That's 8,200 feet, over 400 kilometers of hiking trails. From gentle valley walks to challenging mountain ascents. Winter brings world-class skiing in nearby Austria and Switzerland. Summer offers hiking, mountain biking, paragliding. Despite its small size, there's a vibrant cultural scene. The Kunstmuseum Liechtenstein in Vaduz. Impressive modern and contemporary art. Opera, theater, classical music, often featuring international artists. But here's what's missing. Things most countries take for granted. No airport. Want to fly? Use Zurich in Switzerland or Innsbruck in Austria. Both about an hour away. No military. Liechtenstein abolished its army in 1868. National defense, essentially handled by Switzerland through informal arrangements. No train station in Vaduz, the capital. The town of Schaan has one, though. One university. The University of Liechtenstein. Focuses on architecture and business. For most higher education, students go abroad. The entire country is connected to Switzerland's infrastructure. Medical emergency? You might go to a Swiss hospital. International flight? You're driving to Zurich. Even the country code is integrated. Dial +423 for Liechtenstein. Or use +41, the Swiss code. They're that intertwined. The pace of life is relaxed. This isn't New York or London. Shops close early. Sundays are quiet. Most businesses close by law. People know their neighbors. Community bonds are strong. Civic engagement is high. There's also delightful quirkiness. The entire nation could fit in a stadium, yet it has all the trappings of statehood. It issues its own stamps, prized by collectors worldwide. It has its own internet domain. .ly. It fields teams in international sports. During the 2014 Winter Olympics, Liechtenstein's entire Olympic team, 8 athletes, total. Yet they've won multiple Olympic medals, particularly in Alpine skiing and cross-country skiing. Impressive for 39,000 people. The country has even been rented out. Yes, rented. For about $70,000 per night, Airbnb arranged for groups to symbolically rent the entire country. Temporary street renaming, personalized welcome signs included. It's quirky publicity that captures Liechtenstein perfectly. Traditional yet willing to embrace the unusual. As long as you can pay, of course. Chapter 5. The Celebration of Exclusivity. No exploration of Liechtenstein is complete without discussing National Day. August 15th. This celebration perfectly captures the country's peculiar blend of formality and intimacy. On National Day, something remarkable happens. The prince opens Vaduz castle gardens to the public, gardens that are otherwise private year-round. Citizens and residents are invited to celebrate with the royal family. Speeches, music, fireworks, traditional food and drink. The prince mingles with his subjects. Personally, it's monarchy at its most accessible. Imagine the King of England opening Buckingham Palace, personally greeting everyone, serving drinks, chatting about weather. That's Liechtenstein. Possible only because the entire population fits in a large garden. The celebration continues into evening. Massive fireworks over Vaduz Castle, visible from across the Rhine Valley. It's a communal experience, reinforcing shared identity and belonging. This tight-knit quality extends to governance. Liechtenstein has all the structures of a modern state: parliament, prime minister, courts, bureaucracies. But there's an intimacy that's foreign to larger nations. Only 39,000 people. About 20,000 eligible voters. Everyone knows someone in government. You might run into parliament members at the grocery store. Democracy operates on a scale where individual voices genuinely matter. Liechtenstein also uses direct democracy extensively. Citizens can initiate referendums. Many important decisions go to public vote. That 2003 referendum that gave the prince more power? The citizenry directly decided their form of government. There's also a peculiar relationship with the outside world. Liechtenstein is doubly landlocked, surrounded entirely by other landlocked countries, Switzerland and Austria. Never had an airport, never had a seaport. Its entire military history, sending 80 soldiers to the Austro-Prussian War in 1866. Best story? Those 80 soldiers returned as 81. They made a friend, an Italian liaison officer who decided to come back with them. Liechtenstein is the only country to return from war with more people than they left with. The country's lack of military is now a point of pride. Liechtenstein promotes itself as peace-loving, focused on diplomacy, humanitarian efforts, international cooperation. It's a member of the United Nations, the Council of Europe, EFTA, European Free Trade Association. Not part of the European Union, though. Diplomatic missions abroad are sometimes comically small. Several embassies consist of 1 or 2 staff members. Then there are the quirky facts. The national language is German, specifically Swiss German, significantly different from standard German. Only 11 municipalities in the entire country. The capital has no airport but does have a heliport. The country is famous for having more registered companies than citizens. over 73,000 companies for 39,000 people. A legacy of its favorable business environment. And perhaps most charmingly, in 2007, Switzerland accidentally invaded Liechtenstein. About 170 Swiss soldiers got lost during a training exercise in bad weather. They crossed half a mile into Liechtenstein, realized their mistake, turned back. Liechtenstein officials were informed. Reportedly, no one was particularly concerned. A Swiss spokesperson apologized, said, "It's not like they invaded with attack helicopters." Liechtenstein took it in stride. Switzerland has invaded them several times by accident over the years. This is the Swiss-Liechtenstein relationship. So intertwined, so peaceful, that even military incursions are minor bureaucratic hiccups. So what do we make of Liechtenstein? This is a country that shouldn't exist. But it does. And it thrives. It's an anomaly. A holdover from a different era, successfully adapted to modern times without losing its character. Medieval monarchy meets cutting-edge finance. Strict tradition balances pragmatic innovation. The wealth is undeniable. But it's not luck. It's not natural resources. It's deliberate choices. Creating a business-friendly environment. Focusing on high-value industries. Maintaining political stability. And yes, implementing policies that benefit those already inside. But this prosperity comes with uncomfortable questions. Is exclusivity, taken to this extreme, compatible with modern values? When citizenship depends on community votes and 30-year waiting periods, is this a nation or a private club? Liechtenstein challenges our assumptions. It's not diverse, not multicultural, not particularly democratic in the expansive sense. Its wealth isn't broadly distributed. It's carefully hoarded by a small population who've made it extraordinarily difficult for others to join. Yet it works. By nearly every metric, Liechtenstein succeeds spectacularly. Economic prosperity, quality of life, safety, political stability. Its citizens are among the most satisfied in the world. Crime is negligible. The environment is preserved. There's strong community and shared purpose. Perhaps Liechtenstein's greatest lesson is about scale. In a world of megacities and continental powers, this principality demonstrates that smallness has advantages. Decision-making is faster. Communities are tighter. Individuals matter more when the population fits in a stadium. But it also reveals limits. What works for 39,000 people doesn't work for 39 million. The intimacy that makes Liechtenstein special is impossible to replicate. The wealth that seems abundant when divided among so few would disappear if the doors truly opened. For travelers and observers, Liechtenstein remains a fascinating paradox. It's simultaneously accessible and utterly closed. You can visit, walk its streets, hike its mountains, visit its museums, but you can never truly join unless you're extraordinarily fortunate, patient, or wealthy. It's a reminder that in our connected world, there are still places that resist homogenization, that maintain distinctiveness at almost any cost. Whether that's admirable or troubling depends on your perspective. For the 39,000 people who call Liechtenstein home, it's simply home. A tiny sliver of Alpine perfection where prosperity is the norm. Safety is assumed, and belonging is the most precious commodity of all. As you travel through Europe, take a moment to appreciate this improbable country. This accident of history that became one of the world's great economic success stories. This princely domain that turned financial services and artificial teeth into national prosperity. Liechtenstein. Too small to find on a map, too unique to forget, too exclusive for most of us to ever call home. but knowing it exists, knowing that a place like this thrives in our modern world. That alone is worth the journey. Just don't expect them to let you stay.